Good evening, it's 6 p.m. here in Cairo. Welcome to Channel 2's news updates. Here is a look at the main headlines. President Al-Sisi meets with French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian. Tunisian Qais Said and Mogul Nabil Karoui wins votes in the first round of Tunisia's presidential elections. Taliban suicide bombers kill at least 48 people and dozens are wounded in two blasts. Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi gave instructions to resume focusing on achieving human and social development through reforming and upgrading education and health systems. The president's remarks came during his meeting on Tuesday with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, the Central Bank Governor Tariq Amir, as well as the Minister of Finance and his deputy. During the meeting, the president also reviewed the indicators of the economic and financial performance during the year of 2019-2020. In this regard, President Al-Sisi urged to exert the utmost effort in a bid to reduce the public debt and the balance deficit and to provide a sustainable environment to attract more investments. The meeting also covered the implementation of the taxes system development plan and the positive indicators of the Egyptian economy, where Egypt reached the largest economic growth rate during the last phase. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Tuesday the French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian. The presidential cabinet spokesperson, Ambassador Bassam Radi, said that the meeting tackled a number of issues with mutual concern and ways of boosting partnership between the two countries, especially on the economic, trade and investment development levels. Now, during the meeting, the French Foreign Minister praised the success of Egypt's economic reform program and the developmental mega projects implemented on different governorates, which aims to attract more foreign investment to the country, especially in the fields of energy and transportation. The presidential spokesperson also said that the meeting covered the developments of the regional and international issues of mutual concern, where President Al-Sisi affirmed Egypt's stance for a political solution in Syria in a bid to keep the country's unity. President Al-Sisi and the French Foreign Minister also agreed during the meeting to resume joint consultations and coordination to settle the situation in Libya in a bid to counter the terrorism phenomena in the country. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry also held talks on Tuesday with visiting French counterpart Jean-Yves Le Drian at Al Tahrir Palace. The talks are focused on means of boosting bilateral relations, as well as the joint coordination on international and regional issues of mutual concern. During the two meetings of the officials, they reviewed the latest developments in Libya, Sudan, Syria and Yemen and exerted efforts to achieve peace and stability in the region. The visit by the French Foreign Minister is the 7th since taking office, which reflects Paris' keenness on continuing consultations with Cairo on different regional issues. Following the talks, the two ministers held joint press conference where Shoukry said that the two sides shared common views over most regional issues and on boosting joint cooperation. On his part, Le Drian said that Paris was on continuing contacts with Cairo over the rising tensions in the region. The French Foreign Minister also noted that Egypt and France have joint point of views over different issues with mutual concern. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli received today the United Arab Emirates Ambassador to Cairo, Jum'a Mubarak, with the attendance of the Minister of Agriculture. During the meeting, the ambassador said that Al Sharjah ruler Sultan Al Qasimi is keen to participate in the project of transferring Al Zahra station for the Arab horses to a new decided and developed place in the new administrative capital. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli expressed appreciation for Al Sharjah's rulers' exerted efforts and his support to Egypt and its people. The ambassador also handed on to the Prime Minister an invitation from Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed to participate in the meetings of the International Health Forum that will be held next November in Abu Dhabi. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gheit begins a visit to Khartoum on Tuesday, where he met with the Sudanese Foreign Minister Asma Abdullah. During the meeting, Abul Gheit asserted that the supporting role of the Arab League and mobilizing Arab support for the Sudanese transitional government. The meeting also focused on carrying out the last Arab League resolution concerning Sudan, as well as the issues of mutual concern. The Arab League chief is also scheduled to meet later on Tuesday with the head of the Civilian Military Ruling Council, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok. US President Donald Trump said that Iran was likely behind the strikes on Saudi oil facilities, but that he wanted to be sure and hoped to avoid the war. Trump was speaking on Monday to reporters in the Oval Office, where he was meeting with Bahrain's Crown Prince Salman bin Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. Trump said the United States would be talking to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and other Gulf countries over the attack. The Iran-supported Houthi rebels in Yemen claimed responsibility for the attack, but the Riyadh-led coalition said the weapons were Iranian-made and it remains unclear where they were launched from. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said today that Iran will never hold on a one-on-one talks with the United States, but could engage in multilateral discussions for it returns to the 2015 deal of Iran's nuclear program. US President Donald Trump has said that he could meet with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, possibly at the United Nations General Assembly in New York later this month. A Dutch court heard preliminary arguments today in a case about deadly Israeli war on Gaza in 2014. A Dutch Palestinian seeking justice for his relatives killed in the airstrikes urged the court to go ahead with a trial for war crimes. One of two named defendants is Israeli Prime Ministerial candidate Benny Gantz, who was the chief of the general staff of the Israeli military at the time of the Gaza bombing. This preliminary hearing to determine whether or not it should try the case started as Israelis go to the polls to elect a new government, with Gantz a leading candidate for Prime Minister's post. He leads the centralist Blue and White Alliance against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel's second election in 5 months will decide whether to extend Netanyahu's term as the country's longest-serving prime minister, despite corruption allegations against him. Taliban suicide bombers killed at least 48 people and wounded dozens more in two blasts on Tuesday, with the country preparing for presidential elections within 11 days. This report is by Inji Maher.
Taliban suicide bombers killed 48 people in two separate attacks in Afghanistan on Tuesday, according to a statement issued by a spokesman for the insurgents that said they were aimed at security forces. The deadliest attack of the two took place near an election rally by President Ashraf Ghani, though he was unhurt. The attacks happened 11 days before Afghanistan's presidential election, which Taliban commanders have vowed to disrupt following collapsed peace talks between the United States and the group. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump abruptly ended talks with the Taliban over a deal that would have allowed the U.S. to begin withdrawing troops from its longest war in exchange for security guarantees from the insurgents. Ghani, who's seeking a second 5-year term in voting on September the 28th, was due to address a rally in Charikar, the capital of central Parwan province, when a suicide bomber attacked the gathering, killing 26 people. The second blast struck central Kabul near the U.S. Embassy, killing 22 people. The president condemned the attack, saying they proved the Taliban had no real interest in reconciliation. The UN's mission in Afghanistan also slammed the Taliban, accusing them of showing despicable disregard for civilian life. The elections will see Ghani face off against his own chief executive, Abdullah, and more than a dozen other candidates, including former warlords, ex-spies, and one-time members of the country's former communist regime.
The Tunisian Independent Electoral Commission said today that law professor Qais Said and detained media mogul Nabil Koraoui won most votes in the first round of Tunisia's presidential elections and will contest a runoff vote. The commission added that Said won 18.4% of the votes and Koraoui is 15.6%, while Abdel Fattah Marou came third in a crowded field of 26 candidates with 12.9%. UN investigators said that Rohingya Muslims remaining in Myanmar will face a serious risk of genocide, warning the repatriation of 1 million already driven from the country by the army remains impossible. The United Nations team said the 600,000 Rohingya still inside Myanmar's Rakhine state remain in deteriorating and deplorable conditions. The country is denying the wrongdoing, destroying evidence, refusing to conduct effective investigations, and clearing, razing, confiscating, and building on land from which it's displaced. The mission reiterated the calls on the UN Security Council to refer Myanmar to the International Criminal Court or set up a tribunal like the former Yugoslavia and Rwanda. On to some economy news. The Egyptian Union for Investors Societies organized a global fair and forum for Egyptian exports in Japanese markets, with participants hailing the high quality and competitive prices of the Egyptian products. Participants stressed that increasing exports provide best proof that Egypt's economic reforms are successful and will lead to a higher supply of foreign currencies and a drop in trade balance. They also appreciated great efforts taken by the political leadership for pushing up Egypt's economic capabilities. EGX indices retreated collectively on Tuesday, affected by selling operations by Arab and local corporations, while the Arab and foreign investors went into purchasing operations. The capital market for companies listed in the bourse lost about £1.4 billion. The benchmark EGX 30 declined 1.45%, reaching 14,752.45 points. The equity weight index EGX 50 declined 2.53% to end at 2,109 points. Medium capped index EGX 70 went down by 0.43% to reach at 542.63 points, while the broader index EGX 100 edged lower by 1.61% to reach at 1,443.67 points. Oil prices dropped 5% today as analysts say that they were expecting Saudi production to recover sooner than expected. According to the Saudi sources, a return to normal oil production volume will take 2 or 3 weeks, not months, as initial indications suggested. The North Sea Brent crude oil for delivery in November was trading at $65.35 in London, a drop of $5.35 compared to the closing price on Monday. Though the oil prices pulled back slightly from Monday's 4-month highs, they remained about 15% higher than Friday's close on wariness that the attacks on Saudi Arabian crude oil facilities could trigger a military response.